No, no. As Christians, we walk by faith, not by sight. What is he talking about? There are many things you don't feel like obeying. There are many things you feel like it doesn't make sense. But when God asks you to do something, that's called what? Obedience, faith. You will not obey until you really trust the Lord. No. Now, why is faith so important? Why do I teach that? Everybody read this together. Together, ready, go. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Do you understand the meaning of this verse? Without faith, you cannot please God. No matter what you do. What is faith? Together. He who comes to God must believe He is, and you must believe He is a rewarder. I asked them, where was this made from? New Zealand. Okay. Who is managing this bungee jump company? New Zealand. Okay. My whole point is this: faith always has an object. Now let me ask you a question. What is the object of your faith today? My whole point is this: faith always has an object. Now let me ask you a question. What is the object of your faith today? Until you train young people, until you train others to put their faith in God, they will not be good leaders. Leaders, good leaders, have great faith in a great God. So this is what happened to Joshua. The Lord spoke to Moses, send out 12 men to spy the land. Remember that story? Numbers 13, 14, to me, is the saddest chapters, the two saddest chapters in the entire Bible. Because the people were about to enter the promised land. So Moses said, you send out spies. So they went to inspect the land. And this is the report. They came back. We went to the land where you sent us. Boss, the land is good. It does flow with milk and honey. Look at the fruit. It's a good land. Look at the 12 spies. The 10 said the following. The 10 out of 12. Majority is not always correct. Nevertheless, the people who live in the land are strong. So far, so true. The cities are fortified. Very true. Very large. That's true. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The descendants of Anak are famous for giants. That's where Goliath and his family, they are giants, okay? They are very tall. They are big. Now, continue reading. The men who had gone up with him concluded they saw exactly the same thing. They saw exactly the same thing, Joshua and the others. But look at the conclusion. Walking by faith and not walking by faith. Everybody read, we are not able to go up against the people. They are too strong. That's their conclusion. So they gave out the sons of Israel a bad report. The land through which we have gone in spying out is a land that devours. Notice, when you don't have faith, you will not exaggerate the problems. Devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in the land are men of great size. Remember, when you don't walk by faith, you focus on problems. You focus on obstacles. And we became like grasshoppers in our own sight. And so we were in their sight. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the way you conclude when you see things is based on your perspective. Do you see things from the lens of the Bible, from the lens of God, or from your own human ideas? Their conclusion, we cannot enter. I love this quotation by F.B. Meyer. The 10 spies compared themselves with the giants, while the two, Joshua and Caleb, compared the giants with God. Faith is the ability to look at circumstances with the lens of God's character, God's promises, God's word. The object of faith is always God's character, His promises, His Word. How do you look at problems today? Why do I say it's the saddest chapter? Look at the faith of Joshua and company. Joshua, the son of Nun, Caleb said, they spoke to the congregation of the sons of Israel. The land which we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, then He will bring us into this land and give it to us. A land flows with milk and honey. Only, now notice, He gave them negatives, two negatives. Only, do not rebel against the Lord. Number two, do not fear the people. Their protection has been removed from them. Everybody read now. The Lord is with us. That's faith. Do not fear them. But you know what? Look at the people. See, this is crazy. All the congregation said to stone them with stones. How did that happen? You know, unbelief, if you don't walk by faith, you're going to do a lot of crazy stuff. You will disobey. You will act irrationally in the eyes of God. That's why I call this the saddest chapter. You must understand. They got out of Egypt. They were slaves. And now they're about to enter the promised land. God told them, I saved you from Egypt. You saw my power. You saw how I opened the Red Sea, how I provided food for you, how I gave you victory. And now I'll be with you. Let's enter the promised land. What did they do? Unbelief, lack of faith is not something to look trivially. It's not trivial. Unbelief is a very serious sin. You know why? This is something I want you to read. There are consequences when you do not act out in faith because of unbelief, because of disobedience. Everybody read. How long shall I bear with this evil congregation who are grumbling against me? I heard the complaints which they are making against me. You see, lack of faith will always result in grumbling and complaining. How will I know whether you're a man or woman of faith? I will ask your family members, are you a grumbler, complainer, always complaining? If you are always complaining, that means you lack faith. You don't know how to give thanks. In the midst of problem, you are not able to say, Lord, I thank you, you're in control, you have a good plan for me. Because you are always grumbling, always complaining. That is exactly how these people behave. Now, let me ask you, can you ask your neighbor, are you a complainer or a grumbler? Tanong mo nga. Oh, how did you answer? No. Walang turuan. Don't point at each other. I'm just asking you. Now, you ask yourself, are you somebody who is thankful all the time? Or are you a complainer? Why is this the saddest chapter? Look. Because of their unbelief, their grumbling, their complaining, every time you grumble and complain, it's against God. Let me repeat. You are not grumbling against people. When you grumble against your family members, ultimately it's against God. So God is saying, they are grumbling not against you, Moses. They are grumbling against me. You think God is happy? Your corpse will fall in this wilderness according to your complete number from 20 years old upward who have grumbled against me. In short, anybody that is 20 years old and upward, all of them died in the wilderness. Not one of them entered the promised land. That is why I call this the saddest chapter. The promised land is there. But because of unbelief, none of you will enter the promised land except Joshua and Caleb. and those below 20 years old. Surely you shall not come into the land in which I swore to settle you, except Caleb and Joshua.